Your fire alarm panel has a green light on it. There are no faults showing and it's not gone off unexpectedly for months. So everything must be all right, yeah? Unfortunately, that is exactly how many businesses unknowingly fall out of compliance. A fire alarm is not something that can be simply be installed and forgotten about. It needs to be tested, it needs to be professionally maintained and properly documented. Because when something goes wrong, it's not enough to say, I thought it was working. In this video, I'm going to explain 7 of the most common fire alarm mistakes we find across Derbyshire and, more importantly, what you can do to put them right. So mistake number 1, missing your 6 monthly maintenance service. The first and probably most common mistake is failing to have the fire alarm professionally serviced at the correct intervals. For most commercial fire alarm systems, BS 5839 Part 1 recommends that the period between inspections and servicing visits should not exceed 6 months. This is completely separate from the weekly test carried out by someone at the premises. During a professional service, the engineer is not just making the alarm sound, they should be inspecting the control panel, testing the devices, checking the standby batteries, examining the system for faults and confirming that the installation remains suitable for the building. Components deteriorate over time, detectors become contaminated, batteries lose capacity, buildings are altered, walls are moved and rooms change use. The green light on the panel cannot tell you whether all of that has been properly considered. Check your most recent service certificate today. If it's more than 6 months old, arrange an inspection. Mistake number 2, not maintaining the fire alarm logbook. The second mistake is either having no fire alarm logbook or having one that is almost completely empty. Your records should provide a clear history of the system. And that includes weekly fire alarm tests, faults and remedial work, false alarms, system activations, professional service visits, any alterations made to the system. The logbook helps the responsible person demonstrate that the alarm is being tested and maintained properly. Think of it as the service history or one of the most important safety systems in your building. Think of it as the service history for one of the most important systems in your building. We regularly visit premises where someone tells us, yes, we test it every week. But when we ask to see the records, nothing has been written down for months. And if it's not been documented, it becomes extremely difficult to prove that it actually happened. So make sure your logbook is kept near the fire alarm panel, it remains accessible and is updated every time something happens involving the system. Mistake number 3, having the wrong system in a HMO. The third mistake mainly affects landlords and property managers. It's assuming that a few standalone battery smoke alarms will automatically be sufficient for a house of multiple occupation. The correct fire alarm grade and category will depend on the property, its layout, its height, the type of occupation, the licence conditions, and the findings of the fire risk assessment. Some properties may require mains-powered, interlinked grade D1 alarms. Larger or higher risk HMOs may require a grade A panel-based system. The important point is that it should not be guessed. A system that might be suitable for a small rented house might be completely unsuitable for a larger HMO containing multiple bedrooms and shared escape routes. The alarm needs to provide appropriate warning throughout the property so that the occupants can react and escape. Before installing or replacing a HMO fire alarm, check the local authority requirements, review the fire risk assessment and obtain competent advice. Buying a box of domestic alarms from the internet isn't a fire strategy. Mistake number 4, ignoring repeated false alarms. The fourth mistake is accepting false alarms is normal. They're not normal and they should not simply be ignored. Common causes include cooking fumes, steam, aerosols, dust contamination, poor detector positioning, or using the wrong detector technology for the environment. Derbyshire Fire and Rescue Service identifies issues such as cooking fumes, steam, aerosols and incorrect detector selection as common causes of unwanted fire signals. When an alarm continually activates without a fire, people gradually just stop taking it seriously. And this is known as alarm fatigue. Staff begin waiting for somebody to confirm whether the alarm is genuine before evacuating. Residents assume it's just another fault. That hesitation can be extremely dangerous during a real fire. The answer is not to disconnect the detector or silence the system permanently. The cause needs to be investigated. The solution could involve the repositioning of a detector, changing the detector type, maybe changing it to a multi-sensor technology or addressing an environmental problem within the building itself. Every unwanted fire alarm signal should be recorded and reviewed. Number 5, having no zone plan. Mistake number 5 is something we see surprisingly often. Mistake number 5 is something we see surprisingly often. Mistake number 5 is something that we see quite often. There's a perfectly functional fire alarm panel on the wall, but no accurate zone plan displayed alongside it. When the panel says Fire Zone 4, everyone needs to know what Zone 4 actually means. Is it the first floor office? Rear warehouse? Is it in the kitchen? An external storage area? During an emergency, the fire service and the people managing the incident need to identify the affected area quickly. They shouldn't have to search through paperwork or guess where a zone is located. The zone plan should be clear, correctly oriented and easy to understand. It should show the building layout, entrances, circulation routes and the boundaries of each fire alarm zone. It must also match the current layout of the building. If you've moved walls, extended the premises or changed the internal layout, the existing zone plan may no longer be accurate. So stand next to your panel and look at the wall. If there's no zone plan or the one displayed it no longer matches the building, get it corrected. Number 6, forgetting the weekly fire alarm test. The 6th mistake is relying entirely on the professional service visit and forgetting the weekly user test. A commercial fire alarm should be normally tested every week by operating a different manual call point each time. The test helps confirm that the panel receives the signal and that the alarm warning devices operate. A different call point should be used in rotation so that the same device is not tested every week while the rest are just ignored. The test should usually take place at approximately the same time each week so the staff understand that it is a planned test. However, everyone should also know that if the alarm continues beyond the expected test period, that they need to treat it as a genuine emergency. Before testing, you may also need to notify your alarm receiving centre, monitoring provider or other relevant parties to prevent any unnecessary fire service responses. Once it's completed, record the date, the time and the call point used in the fire alarm logbook. Assign the responsibility to a named person and include cover for holidays and absence. A task that belongs to everyone usually ends up being completed by no one. Mistake number 7 is treating fire alarm maintenance as a DIY job. The final mistake is allowing somebody without the necessary fire alarm competence to maintain, alter or repair the system. Being a capable electrician does not automatically make someone a competent fire alarm specialist. Fire alarm work requires an understanding of the system design, the detector selection, the cause and effect programming, standby power requirements, false alarm management, and the relevant British standards. We've taken over systems that were supposedly being maintained but had serious underlying issues. These have included expired batteries, detectors that have been painted over, devices that were no longer communicating and alterations that have never been documented. The system might still make a noise when someone presses the call point, but it does not mean that it's been properly inspected. Use a competent fire alarm company that can provide suitable certification, detailed records and the clear recommendations. Your fire alarm protects people, it protects your premises, and it protects the continuity of your business. So it deserves more than just a quick visual check from someone who happens to have a toolbox. A good example of getting it right involved a heritage style commercial property near Derby's Cathedral Quarter. The client needed to bring the building's fire alarm arrangements up to the required standard, but they were concerned about the installation. They didn't want cables, plastic trunking and extensive drilling affecting the character of the property. They also couldn't afford the major disruption to the daily operations. So we designed and installed a fully wireless EN54 compliant fire alarm solution. It allowed us to provide the required protection without running cables throughout the building or unnecessarily disturbing the existing surfaces. The installation was completed in 2 days with minimal disruption. No extensive cable routes, no unnecessary mess, and no compromise on the standard of protection provided. This is an important point. Compliance does not always mean damaging the appearance of a building or closing the premises for weeks. With the correct survey design and technology, even challenging and sensitive properties can be protected properly. So here are the 5 things that you can check as soon as this video finishes. Number 1, look at your latest fire alarm certificate. Was the system professionally serviced within the last 6 months? Secondly, find your fire alarm logbook. Does it contain up-to-date records of weekly tests, faults, activations and service visits? Number 3, stand next to your fire alarm panel. Is there a clear and accurate zone plan displayed alongside it? Number 4, think about your recent false alarms. Are they being properly investigated or has everyone simply accepted them as normal? And finally, confirm who is responsible for the weekly test. Is there a named person completing and recording it consistently? Fire safety does not have to be unnecessarily complicated. but it does need to be managed properly. Whether you operate a city centre office, a Peak District hotel, a HMO, school, or a large manufacturing facility, your fire alarm must remain suitable, operational and properly maintained. So do not wait for an inspection, a serious fault or an actual fire before discovering that something has been missed. If you're concerned about your existing fire alarm, JKE Fire Security can inspect them, identify any areas that require attention and provide a clear plan for bringing everything back on track. So if you want to contact myself, Dan, or speak to the JKE Fire Security team to arrange your next fire alarm service, system audit or installation survey. Because when it comes to fire safety, it is always better to identify the problem before the alarm is genuinely needed. I'll drop a link below of how you can contact us. I look forward to helping you.